I think you'd be remiss not to make the single biggest health policy victory the proposed and still proposed Stark reform. So that's really a tremendous initiative, and that, I think, as everyone has said, is really the foundations of that have been being built over a decade or more, frankly. So to see that as a potential result of that effort is pretty extraordinary. Frankly, the way that came out with really very specific goals to promote value and quality and price control, but with very limited regulatory components. So in other words, really a broad swath of opportunities, but not a lot of limitations to prescribe how we can try to pursue those opportunities is tremendous. So hopefully we will see that go forward. The second thing is also not fully finalized, but it has been the ability of LUGPA to meaningfully impact on the radiation oncology bundle proposed. That's an extraordinarily large proposal, which is impactful against all different areas of radiation delivery. Our comments were obviously specifically designed to comment on the impact on prostate cancer treatment, but they were really, I think, felt to be some of the most thoughtful, diligent, credible, and extensive analyses of the impact of the proposed bundle on actual patient experience and actual practice experience. And we were able, in concert with the people who are responsible for promulgating these regulations, to have a pretty long conversation in which we explained that despite the good intentions, there were potentially some missteps in the bundle as proposed, both in the sort of the geographic regions and the way that they had planned to roll it out, hypofractionation, and a number of other things. So I think in both cases, what you would be able to see is that the LUGPA advocacy team was able to be involved in conversations at a very high level that really did impact proposed regulation, sort of in its final form. Health policy is very challenging, and everything in DC is very challenging right now. I think one of the biggest things is just reading the landscape and understanding, given sort of the radical initiatives that are being proposed, on one side, and then these incremental steps on the other side, mostly from the regulatory side, how best to deploy our efforts. So I think that's just a challenge, frankly. It is always difficult in the healthcare landscape where, we are certainly seeing healthcare costs rise. We're seeing increasing patient difficulty with the proportion of healthcare costs that are ascribed to them, to really separate the sort of proposals that make sense from the proposals that don't, and be as relevant as we possibly can. What I would say is that we have excellent analysts and lobbyists and a team who really know the key players and have great relationships both on the regulatory and the legislative side. So I think as we look at the election upcoming and make some, sort of assessments about where that's going, I would say the single biggest thing that will probably be coming in the next several to 12 months would be pharmacy reform. So there's been a number of initiatives on the pharmacy reform front. There was a finance committee and then a House Ways and Means committee. Those bills certainly have not come together in any meaningful way. And then there was a much more radical proposal from Nancy Pelosi. So where pharmacy reform will end up with a meaningful proposal, we will continue to really try to have that conversation actively so that we can make sure that independent practices continue to have an ability to deliver pharmacy to the patients who are most vulnerable, e.g. our prostate cancer patients. Additionally, I would say that as the Hospital Association and Medicare continue to struggle with the site neutrality provisions, we don't have a real, we certainly have a horse in the game, but we certainly don't have a real ability to impact that meaningfully as it goes through the legislative process, but we certainly will be involved in looking at that, analyzing that, and seeing where that goes, because that is certainly a huge initiative for LUGPA groups, is to promote site neutrality.